Oh, and also another one thing that happened was I got married.
Oh, many congratulations.
So there are a
That
lot has happened in the last year.
Mali has won an MTV Award for Semi Automatic Butane, which is a song that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I will say that song was supposed to be filmed on the rooftop of my apartment building, and then I got kicked out from my own rooftop for filming something there. So we had to move the setup down to my apartment.
If you've been listening to me, if you've been listening to the radio station over the past year and a half, almost 2 years now, the focus is suddenly shifted to having more and more Indian artists singing in English. I mean, the international ones get enough exposure as it is, but I was very clear that Radio 1 should champion Indian artists doing what they're so good at. Singer-songwriters who are waiting to be heard. And I'm very pleased to have Mali here. I've been a big admirer of her work over the years. And the reason she's in studio is because Dr. Dust, which is her brand new single and her brand new video, both are out. We hope you're listening to it on streaming services. If you're not, don't worry. Radio 1 shall give it lots of rotation in the days to come. Hi, great to have you in studio. How are you?
Hey, Hrishi. Good to be here. Good to finally meet you.
Yes. And Dr. Dust is... I'm going to come to the video first because it's very voodoo, black magic, ritualistic kind of a video.
Yeah.
It's not run-of-the-mill. It takes some time for it to settle down. But is that what the song also is about?
It's kind of about the same thing. It started off with an online late night binge. I was watching a bunch of YouTube videos and reading articles on cults. I mean, of course, all of us know that cults exist. We know little about one or two cults. But what I was most curious about is the kind of control dynamics that exist and how they're pretty unsuspecting at the start, you know. When a person gets into a controlling relationship, they're not expecting that it would become a controlling relationship. It's all disguised with words like care and routine and a clean slate and all of that. And people are drawn to that. They're not drawn to eventually becoming the victim. And that sort of subversive idea of control and cults, I think, is what inspired the song.
So what you're saying is often human relationships become like a cult.
Yeah, I see that. I think a lot of people in professional relationships, I see a lot of companies behaving like cults, startups. I see families behaving like cults. Dare I say some religions also seem cult-ish. Most of what is modern day religion is also what probably originated as something like a cult. Am I going to get into trouble for saying
Not at all. Not at all. You haven't said anything which is
no, but
actually.
It is a fact. I mean, really, some great things have happened from all of us being controlled, which is we can sit in buildings like this because many people agree to a common vision. So there's good things that come from organized control. But the bad ones are things like cults and controlling relationships. Yeah.
But you could have easily called it Call Me.
Call on me.
Call on me. Yeah, Call on Me. Because that really is the refrain, isn't it? I mean, it's the chorus.
Right.
But you choose to call it Dr. Dust. Why?
Because I wanted Dr. Dust to be this almost sci-fi character that embodies all things controlling. And at that time, I think also I was thinking of Big Pharma and how oftentimes you're at a doctor's office and they're giving you drugs to take, but you don't know what that's actually doing to your body long term. Or if it's curing the actual illness or curing the symptoms. But what ultimately happens is the doctor has you coming back again for another checkup and whatever. And so that also started making me think about it. And I wonder if Dr. Dust could be like this evil doctor who's actually just trying to get you, like just control you enough to get you to come back like a drug dealer.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been so much said about Big Pharma and actions therein and research that it definitely warrants more songwriting. And I'm so glad that you're alluding to it, even if it's in a very indirect manner. Correct me if I'm wrong, the song is produced by Rohan Rajajaksha?
Yeah, produced by Rohan.
And this is your hood. isn't it? I mean, these are people you work with regularly.
Yes.
I even messaged you saying the other day we were called in by Zoya Akhtar and Rima Kakti and Ankur Tiwari to do a listening session for Tiger Baby Records, and Pushan Kriplani was the only English artist on view there. So I was very thrilled to hear him because the others were all Hindi artists. Nothing against languages, but it's just that we play English music.
Yeah.
And Pushan calls himself Slight Diversion. And I messaged Mali saying, I think I saw you there, but they blurred you out. Blurred her out very quickly. She was on the keyboard. And this is that studio,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Island
Where you spend a
City.
lot of time. Yeah?
Yeah.
So talk about the musicians on Dr. Dust. I mean, regular ones as well as perhaps new people you worked with.
So Rohan Rajadaksha and I go back a long way. He was one of my earliest, closest friends in Bombay. We hit it off back then, but we remained friends and didn't really work on anything together, aside from the once or twice that he actually played on one of my songs and stuff. But we never worked together as producer and artist. So when this song came about, I actually reached out and said, you know what, it's time. We've been friends for 10 years. This has got to happen. And he really liked the song. We got started working on it last year around this time, just demoing ideas. I think we must have gone through 4 or 5 different versions of the song, different tempos, different palettes, different instrumentation. And then we actually had Nikhil Vasudevan, who's from Delhi, insane drummer. He plays with Pratik Guad. Shout out to Nikki. He came down to Bombay and he just did an entire studio session with just many, many layers of drums and percussions. And by the end of that session, Rohan and I were blinking at each other and like, how are we gonna whittle all of this down into like one comprehensive stack of, drums? But we did. It was a hard job, but we did. So that was the drums. Then, my friend Malika Barot, who's, you must be knowing Ranjit Barot.
Yeah.
Malika is an amazing singer and songwriter. She's also coming up with her new stuff. And she and I are also really good friends. So this is another opportunity for me to go to her and be like, we're friends, but we should try and work on something together. And she arranges vocal harmony really beautifully. So Malika hopped on the vocal harmonies. A friend of ours, Amar from Delhi, he played drone-sounding guitars. And that was pretty much it. And then, Nate 08 played bass. I've always been a fan of Nate's playing, so then again, I used that as an opportunity to get him on the track. So that was the team that put the song together.
And Arya Ranji was your sound engineer?
Arya engineered it. Krishna Jhaveri, who's not in India right now, he mixed the song. And Forrester Savell mastered it.
So I was at Comic Con and I saw all of them on stage. I saw Arya and Malika and Tejas, and they did a wonderful set, which is, I think Tejas' other entity.
Geek Fruit.
Yeah. I thought it was a very interesting gig.
He's been doing that for a long time.
It was great. It was great fun. I know they've been doing it for a while, but it's the first time that I caught them live, and I thought they were really, really tight, really, really good, and great fun. So, for those of you who follow Mali, if you don't, go on Instagram and you search for Malavika Manoj. Malavika with 2 A's. Yeah.
And an A after the L.
Yeah.
Just when in doubt, just add more A's.
More.
Yeah, you'll find me.
There's a very interesting carousel, which if you keep scrolling down, will actually take you through the song, which is why I asked her about this in the first place, which has the drummer, the percussionist at work, the bass player at work, she herself. What are you doing with the piano?
We used a mallet stick and we played the actual strings in the back of the piano. So the ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, that's all played by just mallets on piano strings.
Interesting. And why do you call it drones? Because now with war games, drones has a totally different connotation.
I mean,
but
it's
musically,
a droney sound, like just a sustained kind of a thing. And there are many ways to create such a sound. You can create it using synths, you can create it using just electrical frequencies, and even instruments like guitar. Basically, anything with electronics.
I mean, it's a lovely song, and I wish that it gets millions of hits and millions of views and continues to go on. But just the crew behind the filming of the video.
Yeah.
Like I said, the concept just took me in. I thought it was very interesting, and it's quite eerie at points, which is why which is exactly how you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But just your director, other people, important people who worked on the video.
The director is a friend of mine. We actually got even closer working on the project. And she's an up-and-coming filmmaker. Her name is Hitali Dharamshi. And Hitali, I think, shares a sort of interest in the darker side of things that I do. And so we started talking about making something that was a little darker. And then the conversation about cults came up. We watched a bunch of YouTube videos. There was a hilarious YouTube channel that we found, and it was all like clickbaity titles saying, I started a cult, and I joined a cult, and like I infiltrated a cult. And we watched this entire series, and it was the most clickbaity thing, but it was insane. And then after that, we were like, you know what? This has to be a cult music video. We have to start our own cult. And so I suggested we put out a casting call of sorts on my social media.
Yeah, I noticed.
Yeah.
Saying, come on over and want to act
I
in the
said
video."
nothing, but I'm starting a cult. Like, it's a music video shoot, but I'm still starting a cult. So if you're interested, drop a line. And you'd be surprised at how many people just said yes and asked no more questions. It was actually a little illuminating.
And how many did you finally end up casting?
Finally, I think with schedules and availability and everything, we ended up having about 15 people on set.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Across 2 different days of shoot.
Across 2 different days of
2
shoot.
nights of shoot.
Yeah, go and check it out. It's on a YouTube channel, Mali, M-A-L-I, and you'll see Dr. Dust. And like I said, we will keep playing it here on Radio 1 for you to get an idea of her musical direction. It's also been an interesting year, and some for you. I mean, you played at the first edition of Lollapalooza. Tim Cook, the Apple CEO, comes into town, spends some time with you, and that post goes viral. And you also opened for Ed Sheeran in the Bangalore leg at the Nice Grounds in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So how do you look back at the year?
Oh, and also another one thing that happened was I got married.
Oh, many congratulations.
So a lot has happened in the last year.
Is your husband also in music?
Yes, he is. His name is Sid Shirodkar, and he's a composer and producer.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And who's the artist that he's composed for, that I should go and check his work out?
If you've watched the movie Kho Gaye Hum Kahan,
Yes.
he did the background score on that.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a nice film.
Yeah.
Really good film. So he's done the background score of that, and you obviously met at work.
Well, yeah.
Or socially.
I knew him from the music scene, obviously, for many years, and then we only started to get to know each other more recently through this project.
Good. Marriage is a good thing. I always advocate marriage.
So yeah, lots has happened, but it still feels like anytime you get back to the drawing board, you're starting from zero, even though you tend to think, okay, I have these achievements under my belt. You feel like you can sit on them, but no, you have to constantly move on to the next thing. And even with this song, like, even though I'm still in the process of promoting this song, I'm already thinking about the next one.
Sure.
And I think consistency and just being on it is so much more important than having that one win or that one break. So that's something I'm trying to work on.
And are you an Apple fangirl? I mean, do you work a lot on Apple gear?
I do, yeah.
Which is what impressed Tim Cook, obviously.
Well, he was actually really impressed by the tuner feature that I had on my phone. I mean, it's just an app, really. And he was, while I was tuning the guitar to play him a song, he saw that and he was like, oh my God, what is this app that tunes the guitar? Can you show me?
A walk in the woods for musicians.
And I'm like, surely you must know that there are apps that can help you tune your guitar. And he's like, no, what's the functionality? And I mean, he was like a child almost, just watching the tuning happen. But it was really beautiful. Like, I think it was evident from meeting him that him and a lot of people at Apple really value creators. Like, they've built this entire ecosystem for creators. And he himself wanted to be a musician as a kid. So I think he lives vicariously through people like me. and I think like he had that childlike wonder talking about music and listening to it and talking about how he wanted to be a trumpet player and stuff as a kid. So it was cool.
I hope he sends you many gifts over the years.
No, we have not been in touch.
Considering
since.
considering Apple products are now costing an arm and a leg, you could do, all of us could do with some freebies.
Right.
Just joking. Yeah, and Ed Sheeran's Mathematics Store was just fabulous. I mean, he comes into Bombay first, plays a gig, then he wants to come back, and he actually does that. He comes and plays all these satellite townships and things like that. Musicians love the hang, which is just hanging backstage or hanging in a studio. How was the hang with Ed Sheeran?
It was 3.5 minutes long.
Oh.
Enough time for us to say hi, get a picture. And I think mostly what we spoke about was his gigs in India so far. And since we'd just gotten off stage from our opening slot, I mean, we reassured him that Bangalore was ready. Bangalore's always ready. We spoke about this. It's one of the best audiences in the country, most informed, most eclectic. And no surprises, those 2 gigs went really well for him. So yeah, it was good to see him in the flesh.
Yeah, and he's another great musician, isn't he? I mean, just the stuff that he does with his pedals and everything is just amazing.
No, he's raw talent. Like, especially someone after getting so far ahead in their career and having all the money and ability in the world to get a band and tracks and anything they wanted on stage, for him to still be up there doing it alone and killing it. I mean, that's testament to a great artist, I would say.
Also, congratulations are in order. Mali has won an MTV Award for Semi Automatic Butane, which is a song that I absolutely love. So what is it? Best Artist India, is that it?
Best India Act, that's what
Best
it's called.
India Act, yeah. And you knew you were nominated, obviously. Or
yeah,
or was it
I knew
just
I
a
was
surprise?
nominated.
Yeah.
I'd been nominated the previous year as well. And so I had no real hope that I was going to win or anything. I sent the link across to people to vote, but I didn't publicize it or advertise it intensely. And then to my surprise, I get a call saying, it's happened and the award ceremony is happening and you'll get your award in a few months. So basically, I posted about it after I got the physical thing, but I won in November. Yeah.
And a banger of a song. I mean,
thank you.
It just keeps having a life of its own, isn't it? I mean, that's what you marvel at as an artist. You just put your work out there, and some of it you expect it to do very well. Some of it just goes way beyond your expectations.
Yeah, it's like having children, I imagine. Not all your kids are going to do you proud.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's great. Like, it's always awesome when I have this almost spiritual moment before I release a song. Like, after it's been distributed, but before it's actually released, it's like, oh my God, from tomorrow onwards or 3 days from now, this song is not my own anymore. It's everyone's. And here on out, the song has its own life. I'm just putting it out there for it to have grow its own legs and do its own thing. And it's nice to see how those songs have actually come along over the years. And it's nice when many years later someone listens to it for the first time and then says, hey, I connected.
Yeah, and you get asked this a lot, I'm sure, but why would anybody think of a semi-automatic butane? It's quite a crazy choice of words, actually. The phrasing itself is quite cool.
Yeah, but like, if you ever played around with a lighter, there's this little setting that makes it, you can bring it all the way till the end. And so many people have made the mistake of putting it on that setting and almost lighting their hair on fire, which is what happened, and that's what I wrote the song about. And sometimes when you hear the sound of a lighter lighting, it really sounds like a gun cocking, And so that's where the whole gun and lighter and smoking thing came together.
Yeah, but in the video, you're actually with a friend in a Jeep with a toy gun.
That's my guitarist.
And a friend is obviously, she's having more fun than you're having.
So the funny thing is, my guitar player who's in the video is also a wildlife guy.
Oh, what's his name?
His name is Lala Apurv Isaac. And he transitioned from music into wildlife a few years ago, but now he still does both. And how this music video happened is I said, hey, you're going we need to film this music video together. And he said, but I'm going on safari to Rajasthan. And I'm like, great, I'll just film the music video with you on safari. And I said, can I bring a gun? And he's like, hopefully not a real one. I said, that's fine. I got the perfect one. So we just drove around in a jeep in the jungle, just firing a plastic gun, and it was just really silly, and we had a great time.
Looks as though you had a great time. But like I like the video. I like it, and your outfit actually was pretty cool. I mean, who
Thank
designed
you.
that for you?
That's another friend of mine. Their name is Hrishi K, and up and coming designer, super cool. For those listening, please check out Veer's work. Yeah, Veer lent me the outfit.
Lovely. Well done, Veer. And I'm going to now start, almost do a throwback to some of your other work, yeah? I love Mango Showers. I know it's been a while. It's a 2019 single for those of you who don't know. We're living under a rock. I like the line, you're just a rabbit in a snare. I love that line. And of course, Charlie's calling. Yeah. And it has a very interesting violin and cello.
Yeah.
Which just pops up,
Yeah.
somewhere in the song.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that song, about Mango Showers. It actually is after Semi Automatic. I mean, Dr. Dust is just growing on me. Songs have to grow on you, right? You just, very seldom do you just go with one and say, whoa.
Yeah.
Semi Automatic is one of those songs where you just go, whoa, but the others have to grow on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So after Semi Automatic, it really is my second favorite Mali song. I love Mango Showers.
Oh, cheers.
So talk to me about the song.
Mango Showers was inspired by a shady person who was trying to start a record label. I mean, this is the kind of stuff you hear about in movies, but this actually happened to me.
Yeah?
I was approached many years ago by this guy who said he was trying to make me the next big star. And
this was in Bombay or in Chennai?
In Bombay,
In Bombay.
yeah. And something about the whole interaction with this guy just didn't sit well with me. Just felt off. And nothing ever happened. We never worked together. I never signed a contract. But I was, on some level, being coerced to sign a contract. You
Wow.
know? Maybe not directly or overtly, but it was happening. And I just got a really bad feeling about it. So after that interaction ended, I wrote this song predicting that this guy is going to be dangerous for people. And ironically enough, a year later, he was one of the main suspected in an artist's suicide.
Ouch.
Well, they don't know if it's a suicide or not. It's one of those cases. But after the fact, this entire incident in the song just took a different shape in my mind because it felt as if I'd seen it coming. And that's kind of what the song is about. Like Mango Showers are the pre-monsoon rains. It's the rain that happens to tell you, okay, the monsoons are about to start. They happen when mangoes are in full bloom. And it's a very Indian phenomenon. So that's the song, and that's why the music video and the instrumentation was also a lot darker, a lot more dramatic, like dark rain clouds looming.
And the violin cello bit?
The violins were played by Ajay Jayanti.
He's fantastic.
He's amazing, and he played some other string parts as well. We had some program parts.
He's doing very well on the BGM circuit and the background music circuit.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of
he's
shows,
been doing
OTT
a lot.
and things like that. Yeah. And what's
that
that band? I saw him at Mahindra iRock with this band that he plays with. I mean, they're a regular rock band, except that he plays violin for them.
Oh, cool.
It was very cool.
Checks out.
I don't know, I've forgotten the name, but he's so talented. So it was him, but it was your idea. Did you compose the whole thing?
Yeah, I composed the whole thing. I worked with Rohan Ramanna on the production. And I mean, he added so much more flair to the song because at that time I was quite inexperienced in knowing what my song needed. I knew what it didn't need. And together we worked out an arrangement I think we're both proud of. Yeah.
Walkaway is obviously a love song. I mean...
it's the opposite. It's a breakup song.
Love to me is, coming together or breaking up.
Right.
Like Ashes is, when you say washed your dirty linen in the water of my pain.
Yeah.
That to me is also a love song. It's a heartbreak song. So,
fair enough.
It's lovely. But I'm just curious to know, the video is very static. It's just you sitting at a sofa.
Yeah.
with some flowers to the right of you, and the camera is almost placed behind a glass,
Yeah.
which is like a sound booth in a sound studio, and it's just capturing the entire song, you being there, which I thought was a very interesting idea. Whose idea? What?
Man, actually, I will say that song was supposed to be filmed on the rooftop of my apartment building, and then I got kicked out from my own rooftop for filming something there. So we had to move the setup down to my apartment.
Oh, you were on rent.
Yeah.
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 Bombay does that to you.
That happens. So I got kicked out of my own rooftop with the whole crew, and then we sat in my apartment. And while I was just sitting and trying to figure out what to do, the cinematographer and the director were like, "Hey, this is a pretty cool view." And it's basically from my balcony, you could see the train tracks, and through the reflection of the glass, you could see me. So in one visual, you could see the train tracks, the lights of the city, and me on the couch. And since the song was pretty self-explanatory, it didn't need much more visual information. Just me singing the song was enough. So we kept it simple.
Yeah, but it's lovely, and it's striking, even though nothing much happens except this visual.
Yeah.
It's obviously an interesting brain was conjured up, something like that. Or maybe it just happened by chance. You keep your camera there and suddenly you see something through the lens. And
Yeah,
go,
yeah.
Whoa, this can be it. Yeah.
I think so much of music videos now are just about creating the right kind of visual for a song, and not so much about, I'm going to make a short film to summarize the song, Like, I think earlier there was more of a need, if there was a lyric that said table, then you actually show a table or something like that. But I think now it's more about, if you can get the colors and the grade and the movement to work with the actual sound of the song, that does a lot more for it than any high production, high value story.
Yeah. So it's been a while since the 2021 album Caution to the Wind, but obviously if you play any live gig, some of those songs have got to be an inseparable part of your set list. I mean, Age of Limbo, for example, and Absolute. Those are two songs that I really love from Caution to the Wind. So Age of Limbo is just that, about us being in a state of limbo. Or is there something I'm missing out?
Age of Limbo was written at the time where Syria was being bombed. And I remember watching a Conan Without Borders episode where he was just casually visiting Israel. And I think from the border you could actually hear like gunfiring and stuff. And it was such a weird thing to be watching a comedy show and to actually hear somewhere in the distance like actual war happening. Something about that it was jarring. And so that song came out of that. But I released it at the time that the pandemic had just started. So all of a sudden it was recontextualized as the pandemic anthem, and everyone thought I'd quickly written a song the moment COVID was announced and released it, but that's not the case. It's just, it was open-ended enough for it to be recontextualized, really.
And Absolute?
Absolute was written, wow, I'm such a righteous person. Absolute was written during the farmer protests back in 2016. And a lot of it was to do with like, the common people have no place to go when their needs are not being met. And all they can do is hope when they vote that they're voting for the right candidate or vote for the right reasons. But they're the losers ultimately. And so that's what Absolute is about. It's just about being under the thumb of the powers that be.
Last year saw a couple of interesting collaborations. I loved Waiting on You, the song with Raghav Niatal. It's a lovely, lovely ditty. In fact, when Raghav was here, I told him that I did. And he was extremely grateful that the project worked out and the two of you got to work together. And he's also doing some really fabulous stuff in terms of the fact that he's got a bit of an entrepreneur's brain.
I'm surprised Raghav Niatal is one person. I really will say that, because he's always doing so many things. He's doing such an insane job with First Wave.
True.
He's got his indie music thing going, he's got his commercial music thing going, he's juggling it so beautifully. It's quite inspiring to watch. Yeah.
He is. I mean, he's got an entrepreneur's brain. And again, just lovely song. And there's another one with Marshall.
Johann Marshall.
Yeah.
Just for Once.
Just for Once.
So
talk to me about these two collaborations.
Just for once, I can't take any credit with writing. That's a song that Johan already had, and I think he wanted me to just sing that chorus bit because he imagined a female voice. This is a story he will tell better, but I literally just lent my voice to that song, so I can't take any more credit. But Waiting on, Raghav and I actually got together and wrote one day. We met to just write for the sake of writing, because very often in our lives we get so caught up with the other aspects of being a musician. We sometimes forget about the most basic thing, which is to like feel wonderment at melody and inspired by small things and actually get back to the basic process. So Waiting On was born from that, just both of us meeting and talking, and he was telling me about his current situation with his relationship, and I was telling him about mine. And we were talking about how sometimes distance and closeness is not necessarily a physical thing. And so that's what Waiting On was about, you know.
So I read a very interesting account written by you when you were a kid. I mean, speaking of when you were a kid, and how you escaped the tsunami, which was 2004 in Chennai, which gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
So you're basically a Chennai girl.
Basically a Chennai girl,
So
born and raised.
you born and raised in Chennai.
Yeah.
Chennai actually has an interesting music scene. I mean, I'm speaking like a typical Bombay Tamil. But because I have so many relatives in Chennai, one has been going there through the years, and I've been to some very interesting festivals at Loyola.
I studied in Loyola.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, I
Wow.
did.
And MCC,
Yeah.
you know, some great rock festivals.
Mm-hmm.
And a few interesting bands that have come out of there. I quite like what Scrat is doing. I don't know if you're a rock fan, but
I'm a huge Scrat fan,
Yeah.
and I'm really close friends with all of those guys.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
We were trying to help them do a festival last week, which didn't
That
materialize.
got canned.
Yeah, that got canned. But yeah, is there stuff that you couldn't do in Chennai, which is why you had to move to Mumbai?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously now you will hear people saying the world is flat and you can do anything from anywhere. But I do believe strongly in being where the party's at. And at the time that I left Chennai, I felt like it was a very band-like scene. So if you were a boy band, you were primed to succeed. And you had comfort in numbers because there were other boy bands doing this. But as a solo girl who was, a singer-songwriter and a pop musician, not very many people doing that. And somehow Bombay had, obviously, it was a much bigger melting pot. And so when I got here, I felt like there were more people I could connect with. And and I did, yeah. So I think Bombay was really good for me, but I still am a Chennai girl at heart. And I think a lot of my musicality and stuff is in many ways very Chennai,
It's interesting you'd say that, because Shruti Haasan is a friend. Whenever she releases an English track, she reaches out and we play it and we do a chat and things like that. And she was saying pretty much the same thing. She said, and for her to go through it, being Kamal Haasan's daughter, which means that there is a problem in the sense, or there was one, that a solo female singer-songwriter was finding it difficult to break through, and one had to find permutations, combinations, maybe be part of a band. And I'm sure you were also a part of a band at some point in time, and then you want to break out and do your own thing. And then you have to take a call whether you want to change your environment. And then some people do, and it works for them.
Yeah.
But she does acknowledge that a lot of what she is as a singer-songwriter is because she went to school there and the early part of her life, and that writing ability comes from there.
Sriram TT from Scrat always says this really funny thing. I'm going to quote him now. He says, "Macha, Chennai is the kitchen." So it's like all
I
the
actually
stuff
interviewed him
gets
just before Bandland. I had him on the show.
Cook up all the ideas
I
and get all
found
the
him
influences.
to be lots of fun.
He's a hilarious guy, and we go back a long way as well. But this always resonates with me. I feel sometimes I go back to Chennai and I come back having written stuff to Bombay, and then I can work on it here.
But you still have family there?
Yeah, my parents are still there.
Oh, they're there.
Yeah,
Wow,
my
wonderful.
parents, my grandparents, pretty much most of my family is there.
Yeah, and also Chennai's changed a lot over the years. You go there and it's I remember there used to be a huge water problem, an electricity problem at one point in time. They seem to have sorted a lot of that stuff out.
Water is a problem in both ways. Like Chennai either has no water or floods.
Of floods, yeah.
There's nothing in between.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yeah. Or
But I'm sure,
tsunamis.
but I'm sure you have lots of wonderful memories of driving down East Coast Road and
Oh, yeah.
gigs
Yeah.
everywhere and things like that.
I think growing up in Chennai was really beautiful because you had the beach. Like the access to the beach is something you just don't have in Bombay.
Yeah.
You have the illusion of being a coastal city, but it really doesn't feel like Chennai did. Because within 20 minutes to half an hour, you could have your feet in the sand.
Yeah,
You know.
true.
And having that, like, it was a very outdoorsy environment. Like, we all spent a lot of time outdoors, spent a lot of time in the garden, on the beach, playing gully cricket. I don't know. It was a nice time growing up in Chennai. And somehow, when I look at Bombay, I feel like it's so much more urban, far fewer green spaces, far less
But you
opportunities.
smell
to do-
opportunity in the air.
Yeah, there's all that. Of course, it's a trade-off. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's it to me. What Sriram said was absolutely right. I mean, it is the kitchen. There's no doubt about that. But I'm just curious to know. I mean, wasn't there any point that you wanted to perhaps be part of the Tamil, background playback singing, or otherwise? I mean, Ani seems to be doing such interesting work there. Anirudh
Yeah.
Ravichandar.
And the first movie I ever sang for was Anirudh's first movie. We go back from like school days. And
Oh.
yeah, so 3, which is his first movie, was a
Was
film
the one which had Collabs also? Yeah.
which had Collabs, and I had no idea when he called me to sing on it that it would be this like international viral sensation. I mean, I didn't sing on Collabs, but I did sing on another song on the same album. And I did do some playback while I was there. I've sung for Haris Jairaj, I've sung for Vijay Antony, I've sung for... I actually did a song with A.R. Rahman, but it hadn't been released. So I have dabbled a little bit in the playback scene, but it wasn't completely for me because I felt like I was only half an artist in that. I was just a voice.
Yeah, true.
And a big part of who I am is what I write about and the compositions. And I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to sing on projects, but I think where I'm fully utilized and self-actualized is the ones where I have the composition and writing as well.
Well said. And do you have a regular band that you tour with and who play for you, or
Yeah.
you just a motley crew of musicians who come together when Mali calls them?
A little bit. I mean, it's mainly a band right now. Like in the last 2 years, I've had a very stable sort of lineup of band members. But it is a rotating lineup in a sense that it's not always a 7-piece band or always a 4-piece band. Sometimes it's 4, 5, 6, or 7, based on the size of the gig, the traveling party, all of that. We're playing actually on the 23rd of this month at G5A.
I like the venue. It's a nice.
a good venue.
I've gone and seen a few plays there. It's like a black box, and
Yeah,
it's wonderful. So great! All of you are listening to this 23rd
of May.
of May. You want to catch Mali? It's Mahalakshmi, the G5A Center of Contemporary Arts. Well, great. The future's so bright you have to wear shades. I wish you all the best.
Thank
and
you.
all of you are listening and watching Dr. Dust is out. Please go stream it, listen to it on the radio, catch the video on the Mali YouTube channel, and let us know what you think. Hey, thanks for rolling by.
Thank you for having me. Cheers.
94.3 Radio 1.